It's Glenn Hamilton with The River, and I'm here with astronaut Bob Hines. How are you, Bob?
I'm great. It's great to be here.
Really nice to meet you in person.
Likewise.
Harrisburg's own Bob Hines. Bob has been on the International Space Station. How many days were you up in the space?
170 days, so just under 6 months.
In a row?
Oh, yeah.
Just have to ask.
Yep.
So how in the world would you prepare for a time away like that and in such a confined space?
I'm in the Air Force still, so I've got lots of Air Force deployments and things. So I think that prepared us as much as anything.
Okay.
So we've been kind of accustomed to it. But there are things that are a lot different, obviously, being in space. And it's incredibly unique and such an honor to get to represent our country and humanity, really, in space. At any given time, there's maybe 14 or fewer people in space, and so to get to represent the United States in that endeavor is really special.
That's incredible. Did you know you wanted to be an astronaut from the time you were a little kid?
I loved the space program when I was a kid. My goal was to be a pilot.
Oh, that's cool.
So I really wanted to be a pilot. It turns out that actually is a path, one of many, but a path that can lead to the astronaut office. So it was later in my career where I realized that was actually a tangible endeavor to pursue, and threw my hat in the ring and was fortunate to get selected in 2017.
It's amazing. It's like winning the lottery.
It definitely is. Hard work and dedication open up a lot of opportunity doors, but there are no guarantees.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a decent amount of luck that plays a role. I mean, there were 18,000 people that applied when I went in. I am not so full of myself to think that I am one of the only people that were qualified. There were a lot of people in that group that were just incredible people, and I was just fortunate to have my name drawn out of the hat.
So what's the deal with aliens? Have you seen any weird stuff when you were up there at all?
No.
Just you guys up there?
Just
and that
us,
was it.
yeah, just us.
Guys and
we're,
gals.
we're about as weird as they come, probably. Astronauts are pretty unique people, but yeah, nothing unusual out there. It's other than the incredible beauty looking out the window. Without the atmosphere, the stars are just so much clearer. There's so many more stars that you can see. And then, before I launched, if somebody had asked me what my favorite planet was, I probably would have said Jupiter or Saturn, but it's the Earth. 100%. Looking back, seeing the Earth against the blackness of space and realizing this incredible oasis of life that we get to live on, it's a game changer, definitely.
It's unique.
It definitely is.
We're the best.
We definitely are.
We rock.
That's right. And until we find otherwise, we're the only place where life exists. And so it really kind of drove home to me the importance of being good stewards of where we are. There's a lot of thought into looking at exploration and other places that we can go, and I think that's very natural to the human endeavor, is wanting to do that. Well, sure. But we have a pretty good place right now, and we should take care of it.
That's the main thing. Take care of what we got. But the advances that you guys are making by being up there and doing the research and everything that you do while you're up there. So tell me something like, I was born 2 years before we landed on the moon. I was born in '67. Okay. What is the biggest difference? I know there's a lot of technology that's different. What's probably the biggest difference between you flying up there now in the SpaceX program or something compared to the Apollo missions back in the '60s?
Well, I think we're a little more sure of what we're doing.
Okay.
Those guys were pushing boundaries that, they were going so far ahead of what had ever been done before. We are standing on the shoulders of those giants. NASA is on the front edge of starting the Artemis program, which is our next endeavor to go back to the moon.
Okay.
Artemis was the twin sister of Apollo in Greek mythology, and the goddess of the moon. And
that's cool.
So this is our next step. And instead of flags and footprints on the moon, we're going back to stay. And so we're working on habitats. We're working on a whole infrastructure around the moon to go back and start exploring and continuing to do research on our closest partner in the solar system. What's the timeline on that? I know it's a big, giant thing, but what is the timeline to start really getting into that? It is a big timeline. There's been a lot going on kind of behind the scenes for many years. But just last November, we launched our new vehicle, the Orion, on top of our Space Launch System, the SLS. We did an uncrewed launch, and it went and flew out around the moon. Took some amazing selfies of itself on the far side of the moon with the Earth in the background. And so that was an incredibly successful test flight. So our next flight, we are putting humans on it. So we got 4 crew members assigned to that flight. We're probably looking at the next 1.5 to 2 years for that mission. And then after the next one after that is we're putting boots back on the moon.
How jealous are you of these 4 people that are going up there?
Yeah, incredibly jealous, but they are amazing individuals.
Yeah,
and
sure.
you know, I look back at learning about Apollo and thinking how cool it would be to be a part, just any part of getting people back to the moon, and all the engineers and scientists that made that happen. And then I look at where we're at right now and getting to be a part of that endeavor right now. And who knows, there are opportunities and multiple missions ahead. So
sure,
who knows what's in the cards.
And you're a pretty young guy, you know, so
yeah.
Yeah, relatively speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess what I really want to know, is there any chance that I would ever make it up there to the moon in the general population in my lifetime?
That's a great question. So I don't know. I think I think there are definitely possibilities. I look at where we're at in space right now, and I think it is very equivalent to where aviation was in the early 1900s.
Wow.
We are pretty confident in the designs and the way that we execute missions and getting people to and from space. But right now it's expensive, and we're getting industry involved to where those costs will start coming down as innovation starts taking hold, and we get new ideas and more efficient ways of doing that. And so as the commercial space industry starts to burgeon, I think those costs will start coming down and the opportunities will open up. And we're seeing that, right? We've already had some civilian astronauts that have been able to go into space and bring back and talk about the stories and the things that they experienced, and that's a great thing, and that starts opening the door for more people.
Yeah, I hope someday in my lifetime to get to pass through the Earth's atmosphere.
Here. It's, if you get the chance, it's definitely worth it.
I wanted to be an astronaut, but there's a lot of math involved, and I'm not good at math. I barely made it out of Algebra 2, so it's better that I'm on the ground playing rock on the radio. That's really what I'm cut out for.
I was at my old high school earlier in the week, and my old math teacher was like, "Well, you made it anyway." So
you made it anyway to the International Space Station, for crying out loud. So, what do you think is our biggest challenge right now, as far as the next steps go?
NASA's ultimate goal at the end of this Artemis program is to get to Mars.
Okay.
And so that is an incredibly complicated endeavor. It is, for it to be useful, we need to spend a significant amount of time on the surface, not a day or two. So it takes about 9 months to get there, 9 months to get back. It is it's a different thing than space station. We're spending a lot of time on the space station right now. A friend of mine just spent 371 days up there.
That's like twice as much.
Exactly.
Or more than twice.
But we are Earth dependent on the space station. We get cargo ships coming up every couple of weeks. They bring in food and water and air. We're really good at recycling water and air, about 95, 98%. But food, right, that's, we haven't been able to generate food on orbit. We're working on that kind of stuff. And then radiation protection is incredibly important. As we get further away from Earth, we lose Earth's protection.
Yeah.
And those are really, really huge challenges to get to Mars. And so there's a lot of that that we need to solve.
And we used to see, we see the big Star Wars, Imperial cruisers and the big giant star. You can't, we're talking massive shit. We're not up to launching that kind of a, and you need something that big.
Well, and so that's, one of my personal theories on the Artemis program is one of the things we're building is a gateway, which is a small space station that will orbit the moon. And I think that will be one of the stepping stones to be able to get to Mars. Because if you assemble a large spacecraft in lunar orbit, you don't need as much fuel to leave Earth orbit, which is one of the big challenges. The gravity well of the Earth is incredibly powerful. And so if you can assemble something out there, we'll learn how to assemble things in the vicinity of the moon as we build Gateway. And I think that will be some valuable lessons learned when it comes to starting to build our ship that takes us to Mars.
I'm totally geeking out right now. Bob, I could talk to you for literally 2 more hours, but you have a whole program that you're doing all day today. Space Day at Whitaker Center. They do this every year, and we've got Harrisburg's own Bob Hines here. Where did you go to school, high school, Bob?
All over. I actually graduated from high school up in northeast Pennsylvania.
Okay.
A little town called Mountaintop.
All right.
Cleverly located on top of a mountain.
That makes sense.
That's right. But my grandfather taught here at Milton Hershey School for 30 years.
Wow.
My brother graduated from Central Dauphin.
Go Rams.
Here. And so this is just a very central place for me. As much as my family moved around, this was always home. So.
And that's cool. Well, you're a really humble guy, incredibly knowledgeable, and I'm really can't imagine your experiences up there in space. And I wish you the best and all kinds of safety in your going forward, because I know it's very dangerous work. That when you get down, when you start going up into space and getting around this incredible equipment.
Yeah.
I know it's.
Thank you. That's I can't think the name of the game. I think we all acknowledge the risks that are out there, but in terms of furthering human exploration and the spin-off technologies and the payoffs that we get down here on Earth, we all are 100% on board with it's worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your service. And thanks for your service in the Air Force as well. And I will ask one more question about the spacesuits.
Sure.
I know you eat the processed food, the space food, and I've seen the toilet that you guys can use, and you have bags for. So, if you have to let one go, as it were, do you try to not do that, or is it what's the protocol? Is it a personal preference thing?
Just be strategic. Just be strategic and considerate of your crewmates,
okay.
And they'll do the same for you.
So even in the suit, because you take the suits off when you're up there.
In the space station.
In the space station,
off, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So what about in the travel up there? Are you trying to
suits?
Just hold it as long as you can?
Yeah, mostly. We have capabilities, but yeah, generally we're not in the suit so long that you need to. But
are you allowed to take Febreze with you up in the thing? Probably not.
No.
Or have a little air freshener like from the rearview mirror?
No, there's pretty good filtration though, and honestly, we are not the source of most of the stink that's up there. So it's been we got 20 years of equipment, supplies, and the garbage is the stuff that really starts to accumulate and start to stink up there. So, but our air replenishment system does a really good job of keeping it.
Well, this concludes the intellectual portion of our conversation with Bob Hines from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Has been up on the International Space Station, flown many missions, and is trying to move us forward in our space exploration. Bob, great talking to you, man. Great to meet you.
You too. It was a pleasure, and come on out to Space Day at the Whitaker Center.